Good morning. This is Craig Evans for thewaymissions.org, and today we're going to start to cover the book entitled The Seed, which is a free download on the website and deals with the sowing of good seed. So, as an introduction here, I want to say hello and welcome everyone. It doesn't matter to me whether you're a staunch Christian, Orthodox Christian, fundamentalist. You may be someone interested in the subject of enlightenment, which is what the Jesus teaching of the way was really about, how you become enlightened into the Spirit of God. But my book is about the practice, the practical aspect of how you form that relationship with the kingdom within, and that is done by sowing good seed. So I hope you enjoy the book. It is free on thewaymissions.org. So when we consider the parable of the sower, and there's a number of others, the parable of the weeds, the mustard seed and the yeast, the parable of the hidden treasure, and so on, we really come to the heart of the Jesus teachings. So what we end up with is a very practical guide as to how you walk in the manner that he is trying to teach us about love and forgiveness and knowledge and wisdom and belief and faith. And so to a great extent, that is what my book is dedicated to. So I hope you enjoy that. And there's also plenty of articles on the Way Missions. Some of them on the front page are probably the most pertinent. The others, I hope you do enjoy as you're able to do so. So I just want to read this very briefly. This is a footnote from page 6 in the introduction. The way is the name of the teaching practiced by the early church. You find that in Acts 9:2, wherein he, which means Saul, had gone to the high priest Caiaphas, in this case, and had asked for letters addressed to the synagogues, that's Pharisaic synagogues, in Damascus. And that would allow him to arrest and take to Jerusalem any followers of the way. And then later we have Paul saying in Acts 24:14, what I do admit to you is this. It is according to the way, with a cap W, which they describe as a sect, that I worship the God of my ancestors. And this was spoken by Paul at his trial, which was held by the Roman governor Antoninus Felix, procurator of Judea at that time. So let's cover some basics that you'll find in chapter 1 and see if this is of some interest to you. Sowing good seed is essential to any spiritual pathway. You could be a casual Christian, you could be a dedicated Christian. As I mentioned before, you could even be a Buddhist. Sowing good seed is sowing good seed. My work, however, is biblically based, so I will have to say that. So if you will begin to think of sowing good seed as kind of a spiritual science, something that you practice, something that you maybe even experiment with a little bit, that can be helpful instead of putting a great heavy burden on yourself. It's just a practice. Continue to practice. The old saying in Christianity is, regardless of outcomes that you can see or not see. There may be good outcomes, but you can't see it yet. You're still blind. You're still asleep. Continue to do the right thing. Now, part of the right thing is continuing to sow good seed. Now, what is the importance of this? First of all, it gives a fundamental foundation, which we'll talk about belief, faith here very briefly in a moment. but it gives a practicing foundation for the pathway that you are walking. That's a key element. And most of that, as I write here next, just as the Spirit is within, the harvest is first noticed within. So you're going to get some development. You're going to get a change. The teaching of the way is about an individual. This is one reason why Jesus got in so much trouble, because he started to reveal secrets that his Essene brothers, Nazarene Essene, and even some of the Qumran Essene, were familiar with. And those things were not supposed to be known by the people, you see. And Jesus was performing miracles and healings. Brother, he stirred up a lot. The teaching of the way is about you. It's about the individual. It's not about the religion, if you can get that difference. It's fine with me. I have no problems with the religion you practice. I've known practically every kind of Christian there is, non-Christian. I've even known New Agers, many of them. Many years ago, I was involved in the New Age, like many people were, just sort of caught up in it. But the real issue then became later on is, how do you really do this? How do you become enlightened into the Spirit of God? How does this really work? What are the mechanics? Well, Jesus taught us all along. It is the sowing of good seed. That is the mechanics. So, next, you want to allow growth to occur. Quit looking for things to happen. Some people want specific answers. I didn't get my answer. Well, that's like a child. Come on. Some want an intellectual result. They want all the answers to come to them to suit them the way they are now. That may not happen. Because if the way you are now was able to get the answer or accept it, then you'd probably already have it, wouldn't you? So when you sow good seed, remain flexible, my friends. Remain flexible, because the Spirit has so many good things for you. So many riches. Sometimes it's just feeling good, feeling positive. I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to keep doing this. And that's how a lot of this got started with me. I started to feel results probably a few hours after I first began. And I knew this was so much the right way. And from there, I wrote the website, thewaymissions.org. And then I already had the book written, The Seed, which you can download for free there. So, as we continue step by step, think about these things. Sowing good seed is essential. The harvest is first noticed within. Allow the growth to occur. Just allow. Start allowing the Spirit to move and kind of take over. Fourth, simplicity is important. Don't get involved in a divorce from 5 years ago and try to dig all that up. You're looking for clear and straightforward results. You're sowing into things like a greater faith, greater patience. This could be a time, maybe you're in a time of longer suffering, and you already know that that is the case. And so you want to sow seed, get yourself prepared for that should that occur. You can sow seed for just about anything I know of. Yes, and then you have to begin to listen, and you have to begin to let the results begin to be delivered. So then next we have whether by prayer, positive speaking, or declaration. Sometimes the term speaking in the word is used for that. Sowing good seed is founded upon belief that this has consequence and faith in the process. In the outcome. And is essential in the practice of walking within the Jesus teachings. You'll never do it, really, if you just keep trying and try. And I'm trying so hard, and I'm trying, and I'm praying, and I'm wishing, and I'm hoping, and I'm. Oh, listen. You need a way to go about practicing the enlightenment into the Spirit of God that Jesus wanted us to have. When Jesus said, I and my Father are one, and I want you, and you, and you, and you, to be in me as I am in the Father, we're talking about a oneness teaching. We're talking about the word perfect, actually, as it's used, actually means whole or wholeness. So we're talking about becoming one with the Spirit of God. That is, in fact, as we know, is alive in you, the kingdom within. So this is how you get that going. I know people that just pray and pray and pray, and you know what? They get great results. And I know people that pray and pray and pray. And I'm not sure why, but they can't see anything. They can't find anything. Nothing is going to happen. But when you sow good seed, you get specific. And while you're doing it, you will mean what you say. You'll notice that about yourself. You're making a specific act. And I would begin by sowing for the good things that you need to have develop in you, and something that can bring you these fine attributes of character that Jesus wants you to have. So, sowing good seed is always oriented to the positive approach. If you start bumming around with, I don't have the knots, this is what I write here, sowing into not being poor isn't the same as sowing for abundance. This is true of every attribute of character. How do you sow seed into not being lonely? You can only sow seed into, I need to go out and meet people and talk to more people, and in between I want the Spirit to help me relieve me of this burden so that I can more easily continue. That's what you sow seed into. Always oriented into the positive. And that's not as easy as it looks. Sometimes that's a little tougher than you might think. And sowing good seed brings about a more soul enlightened condition. Listen, if you're walking around deaf, dumb, and blind in your spiritual pathway and you're wondering what's happening, if you're a Christian and you're stumbling, in a sense, through the fog and the dark, if you're someone who's been in the same place for a long time and it needs some breakout, sowing good seed is what you really need to make happen in your life. And the reason that is that it activates the Spirit of God into something that can really be delivered unto you. And this last quote I have here is so good. Almost all of the work I do is written in the four Gospels. I do not write in the book from the book of Acts or other works very often. But this fits really well. So hear this. To be made new in the attitude of your minds, and put on the new self, and to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. People never think about being holy. I'm just doing good. If I can just hang in there, baby, hang in there. Yes, I understand. Well, that's from Ephesians 4, verses 23 and 24. But, when you walk in the way, which is a real teaching, by the way, that the Essene taught, and that was before Jesus did arrive. You can read about that in the article Early History, if you would like. That's a lot of fun because you learn things that most people don't know about the teaching of the way and about Jesus' origins. But in any case, please download the book and get started and start sowing good seed. Here are all of the things. Can we get this done here? There they are. Okay. Remember, always the positive approach. And when you sow good seed, you are working with the enlightenment teaching of the way, the teaching Jesus gave us. And remember, and it's really true, Jesus really does love you. He really does. He gave us so much, so very, very much. And he does love you. And thank you for listening. Visit me at thewaymissions.org. This is Craig Evans saying goodbye for this short talk. I'll see you again. I absolutely will.